everyone, welcome back to my channel. I realised that I haven't posted a video in 9 months. Obviously a lot has happened in 9 months and I just wanted to come and update you on my situation and sort of what's been going on. So the last time I made a video was right after I did my UCAT exam, so that'll be linked here or here, not sure which way it will come up, but if you're interested in how that went then please go check it out. I have videos detailing all my sort of medical school thoughts and my application, so hopefully you can find everything you need there. So I did end up applying to the King's A100 course and A101 course, which is the grad entry course, the Queen Mary A100 course and the Cambridge A101 grad entry course. And so after I did my UCAT, I wrote my personal statement, which I'm pretty sure is linked in the bio of the UCAT video. You can go and look at that. If not, I'll link it here. I don't know if it was a good personal statement, but if you're just interested. I also got a reference from my director of studies. I don't know what he wrote. I'm pretty sure that he wrote I was going to get a 2-1 because I was currently on a 2-1 at the end of second year, which is really annoying, but I think that's what he wrote. And I also got an extra reference for the Cambridge application where you had to fill out a form about your work experience and stuff like that, and I got that from my dissertation supervisor. So I sent that off in October, and then pretty soon, about a month later, I got an email from Cambridge with a rejection. They basically said that they strongly prefer students who have graduated with a first. Obviously I hadn't graduated and I wasn't really predicted a first based on my second year performance. With the Cambridge application I had to send off an interactive transcript and everything. They wanted a lot of information as well as proof of all my GCSEs and A-levels. So they got back pretty quickly, to be honest. I didn't open application, so I didn't apply to a college, and then they assigned me to, I can't remember, but it was a female only college, but I didn't really care, and it was kind of like my fourth option, so I wasn't too bothered. And the other people I know who applied also got rejections, so I think in general as a third year student it's difficult to get a place there anyway. Then later on, around, I don't know, sometime before December, I got a rejection from the King's grad entry course. This didn't surprise me as well because my UCAT was the 70th percentile, so it probably wasn't high enough for any grad entry course basically. And that, I think their only explanation was that my UCAT wasn't high enough, and I went to the open day, and I'm pretty sure I spoke about it in one of my other videos, but yeah, they basically said you're going to need at least 3,000 to score to get in. That wasn't one of my, I didn't have my hopes rested on that one. Then I got my third rejection, which was from the Queen Mary undergrad course. That kind of surprised me because I thought I had a good chance at getting interviews for the undergrad courses, but I spoke to someone on Instagram, his name's Anthony's Notebook, which I will link somewhere, and he's actually got a place on that course, but he was saying that Queen Mary is similar in that they prefer graduates, and whereas for example the King's undergrad course, they mostly look at your A-levels and that's what they really care about. At Queen Mary they really want graduate students to have first class degrees and to be graduated, similar to Cambridge. So when I spoke to him, I wasn't too shocked by the rejection, but I was a bit like, okay, well, I didn't realise, I thought being a grad applying to the undergrad course was going to be an advantage. And then in December, or I think it might have just been January, I got an offer for an interview for the King's undergrad course, that was on the 25th of January, and I meant to make a video about it at the time, but I just completely forgot. And then it actually took 5 months for me to hear back because obviously this whole corona situation happened. I'm gonna make a whole separate video about the interview, but I genuinely thought it went okay. I thought I answered most of the questions okay, but like I said, I'm going to make a whole different video about my experience, the kind of questions I got asked, things like that. But obviously because of the corona situation, it meant that students in year 13 weren't taking their A-levels, and in terms of my credentials for King's, I had A star AA at my A-levels, which is enough to have got into King's if I'd applied, for example, without having a degree, or enough to get invited to an interview. Obviously my UCAT was high enough for King's as well, so I thought I had a pretty good chance. But after your interview, they only look at your interview score, so obviously my interview score, well, I haven't really explained what happened. Basically all universities were told to stop giving out unconditional offers. I think a lot of universities stopped giving out offers at all. The UCAS deadline was then extended from the 2nd of May to the 20th of May, and King said, yeah, you should have heard from us in March and really by April, but you haven't heard from us yet. And I heard nothing from King's at all, and I was looking on Student Room and some people got offers for early interviews. They must have been the really strong candidates. And then just before the 20th of May, some people started to get rejections, some people started to get offers, and I was like, what the hell, I haven't heard. And on the 19th of May, which was the Tuesday before the deadline, I got an email on the application system saying I'd been put on a wait list. So I think obviously at the interview they told us that they give out double the amount of offers than they have places, but obviously because they don't know what's going to happen with people getting predicted grades, which isn't until I think the 14th of August, the results day, and they've been giving out less offers. So I think normally I might have actually got an offer. Obviously I can't really say, and I'm in the process of requesting my interview feedback, because you have to fill out a whole form. But yeah, I got told I was put on the wait list, which means that if enough people defer, miss the grades or withdraw the application, that I might get a place, but I don't know where I'm going to be on the wait list. I don't know anything about it. And then I emailed them to say, when will I find out? Will it be after the deadline to firm, which is June 4th? When will it be, results day? And they basically said it will be results day, which as someone who's obviously finishing my degree this year, I was just like, that is way too late for me to know if I'm going or not, because by the end of June I would know my degree classification, so I'd know if I'd gotten in. But waiting until the end of August kind of means I couldn't really plan anything. So that's currently the situation I'm in, where I'm gonna have to wait till results and see if I get offered a place. Bearing in mind this is for the undergrad course, which is 5 years, and I would have to fund the tuition fee myself through part-time work and my maintenance loan, and I would be living at home. That was the plan. In December or January, after I got my first 3 rejections, I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna get into med school this year, which is fine, because I was totally like expected it. Not people get in on their first time, especially grads as well. There's not actually that high chance of getting in. So I was very up for taking a sort of gap year. For those of you who don't know, in first year I took a minor in Spanish, and then in my last 2 years at university doing a biology degree at Lancaster, by the way, if you didn't know. I've been very much like practicing Spanish on my own, teaching myself, going to Latin American Society, things like that, using various different apps. Big on the Duolingo thing. You can add me on Duolingo, by the way, if you want. And one of my good friends who did Spanish in first year with me and does biology was applying to the auxiliares de conversación program, which is basically a program where if any of you study languages in the UK, you might have had auxiliares in your school. But basically, when I was in school, in my French class, we would have one young person who would come from France, and maybe a Spanish person and a German person. Usually they were quite young, and they would basically be there to support the teachers, and they would do pronunciations. They would sometimes mark non-formal work, like maybe our books. They would talk about where they were from. They would like just basically speak to us in whatever language, French or Spanish, and help us. And she was my friend basically told me about this program through the British Council, where you basically apply to be an English language teaching assistant in another country, and there's loads of different countries that you can apply to. And obviously I was interested in the Spanish speaking ones. For every country except Spain and China, you have to have a B1 or A2 qualification. So for Mexico, Argentina, I think maybe Colombia was another country, you had to have a certain proficiency. And I know I definitely have A2 proficiency because I've done a few courses and stuff, but I'd like to think I'm a B1, maybe at least in my reading and writing skills. But anyway, for Spain you didn't need anything, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna apply. And you basically, it's a part-time job where you get paid 700 to 1,000 euros a month depending on where you are, and you work 12 to 16 hours, again depending where you are, and you work with students. You speak in English to them, you teach them about your culture, you help them with pronunciation, help them for their exams. It can be primary age children, secondary age, or adults, and you don't get taxed either, and it's all through the government. You don't pay for it, you only have to pay for like your DBS check, but otherwise you don't pay like you would for some teaching English abroad programs. And there are tons of YouTube videos about it. Like honestly, if you look up auxiliares de conversación, you'll find so many videos of people who have done this program, because it's not just people from the UK that can do it, but also people from America, Canada, Australia, the Philippines, South Africa even. I think as long as you're native English or from the Philippines is the rules basically. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna apply in case I don't get into med school, then I'll have something to do this year, because I know a lot of people become healthcare assistants and things like that, but I didn't know what I was gonna do. And this was back in like January, so I really didn't even know. I didn't know about Corona as well. Yeah, and then in terms of that application, that's gone through into the stage where I'm being placed regionally. So you put down your preferences for your region. So I put Madrid as my first preference because I've been to Madrid, I live in a city, I love city living, I really wanted to live like in the centre of a city. And I didn't apply to any regions where they had another language that they spoke, such as in Barcelona, a lot of the people there speak Catalan, or other places Valenciano or Galician or Basque. So I just wanted to be able to move to Spain obviously and become fluent. So this placement lasts from October to May. You can renew for more years if you want. A lot of the stuff that I read is from the perspective of American applicants, which obviously have to get visas and things like that, but I don't think we have to do that because we're in the UK, although I don't know how it works now with Brexit. My kind of plan is that I'm going to be resitting the UK at the end of August. So I'm currently back home. I came back in March, just before we went into lockdown, and I'm going back to Lancaster very soon. Then I'll be moving out in July. July to the end of August, that's sort of when I was thinking of prepping, and we can do the UK exam at home now, which is great because I can do it on my laptop and I can practice. There was a lot of factors right before the UK exam last year. I was having really bad migraines. In terms of that, I've tried a few different medications and I'm finally on one, and I haven't had a migraine in like 3 months now. I think not since March, which is amazing. So hopefully I shouldn't have that issue anymore. I also fell down the stairs. It sounds so stupid, but I fell down the stairs right before my exam and I really hurt my back. I ended up getting an x-ray and it just meant that I couldn't sit. Like the one thing you have to do when you're practicing for the UCAT and doing the UCAT is sitting, and it caused me so much pain. I had to sit on like towels. I had to make almost like, you know, people have like hemorrhoids and have those cushions. I basically had to sit on that because of the pressure on my back. After sitting the UCAT, I'll try and send off my application literally at the start of September, get it done super quick, and then about halfway through September I'm planning to move to Spain. Obviously I haven't been placed regionally yet. Hopefully I get Madrid. My second choice was La Rioja, and I don't know what my third choice was. I can't really remember. And one of my friends that I mentioned, she also applied to Madrid, so ideally we'll both get Madrid and we can move together and I have a flatmate sorted. But then that's the plan, to be working there. In terms of the corona situation, so far it hasn't affected that, I don't think, because the schools in Spain are going back in September. So there's obviously, they might be social distance, I don't really know what's going to happen, but they'll still need English language assistance. And despite the economy in Spain, people do say the one job you can get in Spain is teaching English, because they're always in need of that. So I'll have to keep you updated on that situation, and like I said, if you want to know more about that, I'd recommend just having a look on YouTube. The application's open in around January time. If you're at all interested, like I said, there's other countries you can apply to, not just Spain. And obviously if I do get an offer from King's, it kind of puts me in a difficult position because I'll be so far, I'll have booked my UCAT, I'll be so far into practicing it already, and hopefully and I'll be preparing to move to Spain. I'll probably have flights booked by then because I'll know by the end of June where I'm going to be. I'm probably going to reject it, which I know sounds insane, but I really want to go to Spain for a start and have a gap year. I also, in terms of having to pay for the undergrad course, obviously the recession that is probably going to come and the corona situation, it's kind of made it a bit more difficult for me in terms of paying for it. And even like, for example, I haven't been able to work because I left uni earlier, so my savings are less. I haven't been able to work over the summer because there aren't really any jobs, and also corona, so a lot of things have changed. I could imagine maybe if I did get an offer on results day, like I said, I don't know where I am on this list, so I don't know how likely that is. If I did, then, and I also got a placement in Spain, which wasn't where I wanted to be, although it would be a pain to withdraw from the programme and I probably wouldn't be able to reapply ever, but then I would be in med school. I might take it and I'll just have to really figure out the finances. But I think I don't know if I'll take it because I'm resitting the UCAT. I got 70th percentile on my first try, which I really don't think is too bad. Like it's okay. I really think I can get a lot higher because before I fell down the stairs and I was having all these migraine problems on Medify, I was getting pretty good scores, and I feel like that kind of test is suited to someone like me. And I'm not going to take BMAT or GAMSAT because I don't have the money, and also like you have to sit them in person and there's dates for them, and it just gets complicated with the whole moving to Spain situation. So my plan is to resit it. Hopefully I'll get a much higher score. I know what I did to get the score I got last time, so if I don't, then this is all going to be very complicated. But I don't know, like obviously with what's going on in the world, I feel like my perspective has changed as well, and I'd really like a break from education. That being said, I also would have, hopefully I'll have a much higher score. Hopefully, well, I finished all my assignments and I'm currently on a first, so hopefully, fingers crossed they don't change it, I'll be graduating with a first degree in biology, and I'll have those things that other universities were looking for, such as Cambridge. Ideally, I'd only apply to grad entry. I would almost definitely apply to Warwick this time as well because I'll have the 70 hours and they take the most people. Also, by doing grad entry, I won't have to live at home, so I could even apply to Southampton, Newcastle, other places as well. If you know me, you know I love London, so you know that I would probably apply to King's and Queen Mary again. Also places like Birmingham as well, that I would never consider before because they heavily prefer graduated students. So I have all these factors, so that's basically my plan. And if I don't get in again and I enjoy teaching in Spain, maybe I'll just keep renewing, but I don't know what I'm going to do basically yet, and I feel really stuck. I feel like in general I feel very demotivated for medicine, and I've lost a lot of the desire to do it, and I feel like going back to Lancaster and all that, I'm really going to try and get some more work experience just in a care home hopefully, and try and get myself back into it, maybe read some of the books I really enjoy, because I think, you know, after getting all those rejections you do just feel like super demotivated. Like now all I can think about is moving away and like starting this new life and it being really exciting and blah blah blah. I don't know, I'm just struggling right now, but I feel like I'll regret it if I don't apply this year to maybe get in for 2021 entry, which feels literally so far away. But I think I just need to bite the bullet and do it, and so I'm going to try and get myself back into it, more motivated, more inspired, so by the time I'm taking my UCAT I can take it super seriously and hopefully get a place. But that's the plan anyway. So like I said, I'm definitely going to do a video about my King's experience. I want to do a video for Migraine Awareness Month. I've been thinking up an Instagram post as well that I was going to do. I finished my degree now, it's so weird, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that can be made if anyone's interested. If anyone's even watching these videos anymore, because I know I haven't posted in 9 months, let me know. But that's what I'm doing now. It's gone quick, hasn't it? So if you got to the end of this, then thanks so much for watching, and like always, you can contact me on any of my socials, and I do reply to all my comments and things, so feel free. Bye!